Hello and good morning and welcome. Today is Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, and we've got Ethan Kim here. And Ethan, you are based in
Seoul as of the moment.
Korea, South Korea. Is that right?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, good. And the purpose of today's get together is, if you wouldn't mind just quickly introducing what TechOpps does, what you guys are aiming to achieve. And what we're going to talk about today is how to build and establish a startup that creates momentum. That's really what it's all about. I mean, you can't say you want to build a successful startup or successful business you don't know. All you hope is that it will create momentum, because that's pretty good. One should have a 10-year aim, 10-year approach, but if you can create some momentum in the first 2 years, that would be fantastic. So please go ahead, introduce yourself and your organization.
So TechOpps was created in June of 2020. So basically it's a new founded not-for-profit organization. So we're currently based in 3 countries, the US, Korea, and in the Philippines. So to give you a brief introduction of what TechOpps does is that we are a organization that aims to promote and provide more opportunities to the people wishing to enter the technology industry, because the technology industry is so booming, and some might say it's quite selective to get into one of those top companies. We want to be able to provide people with not so much resources to help get into the technology industry. So some of our ongoing projects one of them is called Tech Talks. It's where we invite professionals already working in the field to deliver podcasts. So we've had software engineers from Google and product managers, project managers, and well, basically anyone you can think of.
Cisco, Microsoft, Amazon. I've seen Uber. You've had some really quality people there.
Mm-hmm. And we are also working on a mentorship program where we plan on matching mentors with mentees who want to work at similar industries or similar profession. So for example, let's say hypothetically, I want to work at Google as a software engineer. Then we would then match me with a person who's already a software engineer working for Google. And then he or she might be able to provide tips on the recruitment process, what it takes, what we need to learn more, what I'm lacking, and sort of more information on that.
Okay, fine, fair enough. So something that I'm going to talk about later, but I just want to touch on it, is that these days as an organization, in a way, it's better, and it's not good enough actually just to go through a normal recruitment process. Oh, these are the people you can speak to. This is the process of recruitment. Here's the documents. You can fill out the stuff here. Whereas the approach of a new age organization is, this is our YouTube channel, and we have a series where we also have up and coming app developers and programmers that are working on certain projects. What are they working on? What would be the application? And you have like a CNN, BBC type studio on your side where you're interacting with them, 5-minute, 10-minute clips, where you're actually diving into what they're currently doing. They might not be working, but they're probably working on some very interesting things. Because what you might find is that a lot of the tech people find you as a brilliant source of finding diamonds. Because the diamonds understand that if they're working on something, you're a platform where if they can get on your show with what they're working on and do a demonstration, screen sharing, then one of those people that work at the big companies can say, oh, you won't believe what I spotted. There's this youngster in South Korea or in San Francisco, in Texas, or in Italy. They're working on this app that will take your phone and make it an AI. Like, it's amazing. It's an amazing app. It's no one's ever done it. They, they can't get into an app store, but I saw the demonstration. We need to get hold of that person. So let it go from the other way. So instead of showing people how to knock on the door of the tech companies, rather just become a sort of like a hub for up and coming tech people to show what they're working on your YouTube channel. Okay, so it's a different angle. And okay, so what we're really looking at the moment is, how does a startup start? Okay. Now, the one thing to keep in mind, you mentioned that your company, your organization is looking to be a not-for-profit. Okay, fair enough. You're not looking to make millions, and profit and, be racketeers. Fair enough. However, it's very, very important that you have very detailed contracts and legal documents. Because ultimately, if you're looking at a business has to operate as a business, even if it's an NGO, or even if it's anything. What you don't want to be is just a group of youngsters, immature and unprofessional, passing names around and having connections. That's just a hobby. It's a side hustle. You want to do it professionally. So almost your starting point is, besides for your website being up and running, this is who we are. Everybody in the organization having a TechOpps email address. It's not good enough to have a Gmail address. It's just not good enough. There has to be a structure to the emails that you send out. The brand itself has to look like a brand. But then more than that, ultimately, if you are going to get sponsors for an event, you're hosting an event, you want to get Microsoft to sponsor. You want to get Google, you want to get Cisco, you want to get Uber to actually sponsor the event and have speakers, but actually pay for sponsorship so that you can run the event. They need to be able to pay into a certain bank account. You have to decide which country does that bank account sit in. Is it the US? Is it a US business? Is it a South Korean business? Where's the business based? Because ultimately, that's a great starting point, because you have to be able to send them a contract. You have to be able to invoice them. They need to be able to pay money across somehow. And that money has to, firstly, before they get there, they need to sign a contract with you that says that we're hosting, that this is our organization. These are terms of business. We host events. When you interact with us, we won't use your brand anywhere that without your permission. You have to have proper legal terms of business. Okay, so that when you interact with him, so this is who we are, and if you come onto one of our events, this is the contract itself for the event. Okay, so the terms of business are actually different to the contract. Terms of business you have forever. The contract is per event. For this event, this is what you'll get. This is how much you'll pay. This is the country where the jurisdiction lies. If something goes wrong, we'll give you your money back, or this is where we can have an arbitration. Ultimately, even though you're an NGO, you're actually a legal organization that is interacting with another legal organization. You have to think of the business that way, because that is the only way that they're going to be able to give you the money to host an event. And they're not just going to pay it into some university person's bank account. The money could go missing. There has to be an audit trail for them to be able to say, we're involved in this, this is the organization. So that's one of the starting points of any startup, is you have to be very professional at the start, before you're knocking on doors, before you're doing the event. Because it's not good enough to want to do an event, now all of a sudden, okay, well, no problem, we'll host, we'll sponsor, send us your legal documentation so we can sign, which we don't have. But you've got an event coming up in 30 days. Now all of a sudden you have to hustle for legal documents, and you have to hustle for the event. It's too much. So you have to have the contracts and all the legal documentation first. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, ultimately there's two things. The one is operating as a lean business. with a lean mindset. You can't be, our business is an actuary consulting business. Okay. But we operate as an organized collaborative, which is a consortium of actuaries. So those involved in our business are not employees, they're partners. That's the first thing. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But in essence, we operate as a lean business. So what that means is that as a mindset, we don't say to ourselves, well, we have to have office space, we have to have expenses, we have to put together a budget for snacks and food and all this lavish stuff. A lot of people go into, or we have to have an investor, because ultimately you have to register the business. It has to be a business that is a limited liability corporation, or whatever it is, has to be a business. Someone has to be the owner of that business. So what you don't want to do unnecessarily, because the business could absolutely take off and become super successful, you don't want to have to backtrack later. When it becomes super successful, you become unbelievable partners to some of these organizations. I've seen guys online, they become the most unbelievable networkers, unbelievable businesses in and of themselves. What you don't want to do is later on, because it wasn't really done properly and there was one investor that gave you $500,000, then all of a sudden this person now owns the business and half the voting rights. So ultimately you have to operate as a business. I know that you're an NGO and that you're just looking to help people. But if you really want to help people, the business has to operate as a business, and you have to set it up as a business as well. Okay. And therefore, the decision needs to be made right up front. We are going to operate as a lean business. So what does that mean? So what that means is that you don't want to spend money. The reason I say you don't want to spend money is because you don't want to have to say, oh, we have salaried staff, we have office space. Who made the decision? No, we rented office space for 6 months. Now all of a sudden you have ongoing expenses. You're going to run out of money. You don't want to be running out of money. So my point is as a lean business, the mindset is we're a lean business. We don't spend money. Sure, we've got some money in. We had an event. There's money in the bank account now. But what do we spend that money on? Well, we're very conservative in what we spend the money on, because the money is there to be used to make sure that the business can sustain itself, not so that it can pay salaries. So being a lean business is a mindset of when money comes into the organization, it is there to sustain the organization for necessities, not for salaries and corporate travel and lavish expenses, marketing campaigns, buying camera equipment, computer equipment, lighting, staging equipment, so that when you have your CNN, BBC type YouTube channel, you've got a little bit of money to buy the equipment, to buy the backdrops. That's what you want to spend your money on. If you need legal documentation, contracts, and so on, what does it mean to be a lean business? Well, it doesn't mean, oh, we have a friend, he works at a law firm, they'll charge us $20,000 for the legal documentation. It's a lot of money. It is, can we be resourceful? Can we go online and try and find legal documentation for NGOs that is a template that we can then, it's 20-page documents, great template, didn't cost us anything. Then we can refine that, and then we can send it to a friend who's a lawyer to have a look at. Maybe it'll cost you $400. That's not bad. It's a lot better than $20,000 or $30,000. So my point is, you have to operate as a lean mindset these days as a startup. And the reason for that is because as a startup, you don't really know what part of your business is going to grab hold and do well. It could be the events. It could be the YouTube channel. You don't quite know. It could be your Instagram account. It could be your Snapchat account. It could be your WeChat account. You don't quite know which part of your business is going to do the best. And that becomes your thing. So the only way to find that out is to try them out, but to be able to stay alive until you can find out. So you have to have a lean mindset. And it goes back to the core of who's making the decisions of how you spend the money. Because the lean mindset, that comes down to, who owns the business. So as I say, you see how it goes in stages. You have to make the decisions of who owns the business. You have to operate as a business, who's making the decisions, who has the voting rights. How do you maintain staying a lean business? Because let's say you have an event and it absolutely blows up, and you get Fortnite, and the whole idea, the concept, you've got tech developers, it becomes a thing. I mean, I'm not talking about very simple, we get people jobs. If that is the mindset of your business, it's 10 years behind the curve. You have to be thinking about, what is our business going to look like in 10 years' time? In a world of Fortnite, in a world of Second Life, the online, in a world of VR. How are we going to connect technology up-and-coming people with technology heroes that will give them an opportunity, that will give them internships? It's not going to just be a jobs board. Okay, so the whole thing is to think ahead. So your contracts and your legal documentation has to be correct, and you have to operate with a lean mindset. Okay, now, and I've also said it has to be organized. So we operate as a consortium. So there's different types of business models. Okay, you have business models that are traditional corporate business. Are you liking these pointers?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Are you shell shocked?
No, it's all good. Please continue.
Okay, good. So another thing is, ultimately you want to be a place where technology up and coming people you're able to connect them with influencers that work in these organizations. And that's ultimately what you want to do. So what that means is that you have to be the ultimate database, the ultimate library that is searchable. Because let's say somebody at IBM phones you and says, oh, just the people we're looking for. We actually need somebody who's good at Python, but might know something about the shipping industry. Do you know anybody like that? That is not the time to now start searching through CVs and and all that kind of stuff and hustling. You want to be able to, in 5 minutes, get back to them and say, I know Mary, she's amazing. It just so happens she actually was the app developer for Maersk, believe it or not. I mean, you can't, she's young, she's fresh, and she's, she's a genius, and she actually knows the shipping industry. Now, how would you know that? So you have to have a meticulous database of everybody that you interact with who potentially could be looking for work. Now, I mean, you've come to the right place. Besides for having an actuary consulting business now, which has been running for 3 years, I'll give myself a quick punt. Our business has built 60 million rand in the last 2.5 years.
Wow.
Okay, completely self-funded. I have been invited to speak in the US from South Africa. I'm in South Africa on disruption in the actuary world. Our business has taken the actuary consulting business and digitized it. This is pre-COVID-19. Okay, but we're aiming towards actuaries consulting from home and data scientists in virtual and augmented reality. It's our 10-year plan. Okay, you'll plug in, you'll work. Thank you very much. And we're working on other insurtechs, fintechs, and property techs, and health techs, and investment techs. We do a lot of that stuff as well. So, but before that, I was a recruiter of actuaries for 10 years. So when it comes to placing people in jobs, you've come to the right place. I mean, that I did nonstop for 10 years. Okay, so in order to be a good recruiter or a good person who knows people, you have to have a meticulous system of being able to search for them. So I used an Access database. It wasn't too sophisticated. It didn't need to be, but it was columns and rows. Surname, first name, email address. But contact number, but country, but very important country, but very important skill set. Python, Java, C++, and all the different things that could be their skills. Maybe shipping, San Francisco, anything, any sort of technology has been working, hardware, software. You need to skill set them in columns. And also years of experience. Started working 2015, started working 2016, started working 2017, started working 2019, hasn't started working yet, 2020. Because when somebody in your network says to you, I need somebody who's fresh out of varsity, hasn't worked at all, you are going to go to the year and do it A to Z. Then it will give you 2008, 2009, 2010. And right at the bottom, you have 2020. And the 30 people that come up that are 2020 will all be at the bottom. So let's say you were searching for people with experience in hardware building. You would put hardware as a skill set. So what you could do is, I need somebody that's got no experience that actually knows how to build hardware. So then you would click A to Z, year, A to Z, skill set. So that H would come up very, you would have 2020 and then A to Z on the H, the hardware. So all your 2020 hardware people would come up right there. You go, oh, these are my 15 or 20 people that match what this person is looking for. Okay, so now let's have a look at which one is the best fit. You need to be able to do that in 5 minutes so that you can phone the person straight back and say, well, because you've searched, your system is searchable. They're very easily searchable. Plus, you've written notes on them. They worked for 5 years and this is what they've done. They love Python. They're involved in this, boom. So that you can also type a keyword and find them on your system as well, so that you can phone that person back immediately and say, actually, I know Tim, and Tim is willing to have a chat with you. I can set it up quickly, and then I'll send you Tim's CV. So it's 5 minutes later, you really become the ultimate database for people that are looking for work, that have a technology education or skill set. But you need to be able to search that quickly. You can't be coming back to them 3 days later. So my point is that if you're going to be this place where people come when they need proper tech youngsters, you have to be able to find them quickly. Okay, so you can't be disorganized. And what system do you use at the moment? Is it like just, okay, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Okay, fine. So you have to have a searchable database if you're going to be that place that becomes the universe for up and coming tech people. Okay. Now, what's quite important is if we're looking at your organization, you can do one of two things. You can either believe that the organization is the brand, or you can buy into the mindset that the you as a brand world is the world we are in at the moment. And that's the philosophy, I believe. You are the brand, not the company. You rather want those that are part of the organization to all be ambassadors of the brand themselves. They are TechOpps. What they do is TechOpps. And what I mean by that is that they can't be, it's a lifestyle. That's the point. Is that TechOpps is a lifestyle for those that are involved in the business. Oh, you're the TechOpps guys. Oh, oh, brilliant. Not TechOpps is this organization and I'll work there. So it's very different because we're in a you as a brand world. Because what you really want is everybody involved in TechOpps to take ownership of the brand. They are TechOpps. They are doing their own podcasts, interviews. They also reaching out and networking with people because they are TechOpps. They wear the cap. They are the business. They are the brand. One of them might become very, very famous. They might actually get a job somewhere and they become senior developer at like whatever, Uber, Lyft, whatever. Absolutely senior data scientist at Google. But you always want them to, in their heart, be TechOps. Once you join the business, you are the brand. So that whole mindset of you are the brand is a lifestyle. The brand is a lifestyle. It's not just a business. Because if it's just a business, then when you move away from the business, then the business must take care of itself. But they have to buy into the philosophy that they are the brand. Like for us, Virtual Actuary, you don't work at Virtual Actuary, you are a virtual actuary. Different. You see, it's a lifestyle because it's a 10-year plan. Is you are a virtual actuary wherever you are in the world. It's the same thing. Wherever you are in the world, you are TechOps. You could get a job somewhere, but it's kind of like a club where you all network together. You all okay. So that's the one thing is we are in at the moment the you as a brand world. It means that if somebody becomes an influencer online, they are TechOps. They will always want to interact with you. They'll always be part of your YouTube channel. They might have a segment on your YouTube channel. So just because someone gets a job somewhere doesn't mean that they're not part of TechOps still. You are the brand. So TechOps is the brand. Okay. So what that means is that now I think YouTube is quite big. You could have Instagram stories. Ultimately, what you want to do as an organization is you have to have a YouTube channel or an Instagram channel or something. You have to be creating content. If you're going to be an organization that is just passing names around, you're dead in the water. Okay, fine. So you're inviting influential people to come and do some talks for you. Okay, but fine. But then what? You're just videos of people doing talks. What you really want is a full YouTube channel, a full Instagram channel where you have a proper background. There's graphics, there's an intro, and ultimately what you want to do is you want to have developers that are developing things, youngsters, but you also, like, let's say you see something amazing by one of these developers, then one of the segments needs to be not just technology. It needs to be, or if you're interviewing a technology giant, what you want to do is you want to say, what outdoor activities do you do? We will come with you. Oh, you mountain bike? Okay, so we're going to do a 30-minute show on why you love mountain biking and why it's so important as a lifestyle to get your head right for working in technology. So that's the whole thing, is that as part of your YouTube channel, video content creation, you also have to be able to reach into the lives of those in technology. Can we come past your home studio, your home office? Can we just get a taste of so what you want to be doing is you want to be able to tap into the lifestyle of those that are part of your program, to say, become a thing. We go into the homes of tech giants who show us a little bit about what it's like to live in these homes and be a tech giant. We want to get a little bit of a taste, because what you really want to do is you want to be able to inspire those that are up and coming to behave themselves and work hard and sacrifice social life to be able to reach that dream. That's really what it's about. Is not only are you putting people together, but you have to be a brand. TechOps needs to be a lifestyle of up and coming technology people that try and stay healthy. They're into yoga. They look into the lifestyles of those that have made it, and you're questioning them about what was it that you sacrificed to get to this point. What was the one thing that was the most important thing that you learned when you got that first job? And hear what they say. So it's not only about technology and putting people in jobs, but it's more about trying to get insight into the lives of those that have made it and those lessons, so that those lessons can inspire people who are up and coming. They might say, you know what, I'll be honest with you. If you find that when you're interviewing with somebody in the technology industry, they tell you this is a 20-hour, we work 15, 16, 17 hours a day here, believe them. Those are not the kind of people you want to work for. Nobody should be making you work 15 hours. Believe them, don't do that. Because somebody that's watching that doesn't know that. They're young, they're fresh, they're wet behind their ears. They're going to go and go for their job interview, and they're going to say 15 hours, well, I can work 15 hours. Then they're going to go for that job, they're going to get burnt. So they want somebody who's an influencer, who's made it, to be able to share some of those insights so that they can learn from that. So on the one side, you've got influencers and big people that have made it. It's all about content creation. My point of everything that I'm saying on this YouTube and Instagram channel and WeChat stuff is really just about, as an organization, you have to have some substance. You have to have a story. This is what you do. You do conferences. Now that you're doing conferences, you're creating content. You're having competitions at your conferences where people build things in the space of 1 week. It was the 1 week challenge. So you have the 1 week challenge competition. These are all of our video entries from all these different countries. The 1 week competition, what did you build? So that, but in order to line that up, you have to have a culture of content creation. Because that's what a real organizer, that is looking 10 years ahead. Is, you have subsections of content that people love. Some people like the cooking stuff, some people like the outdoor stuff, some people like the pure technical learning. You might just find that you become a hub of extreme learning, extreme lessons. And then before you know what's going on, you become a certified Microsoft, Google learning institution, where they are now sponsoring students with free courses, because you guys have this channel that does everything about courses. So you don't know in which direction your organization is going to go in. So you have to almost do it all just to find out what takes. That's what it is as a startup, is you don't quite, it's no point in putting a plan together. This is what we're going to do, because you don't know what's going to work, really. You have an idea of where you want to go. I mean, it's not just a free-for-all, but you need to be doing a lot of different things because you don't quite know. Okay, so that's my point, is your culture of content creation, but everybody that's involved in the organization needs to take on the business as their brand. They must be that brand ambassador. It's a lifestyle for them. Okay, then we're looking at networking. One of the things that you asked me to talk about is, ultimately, how does one grow internationally and globally as a business? We've done quite nicely. We've got a business in Australia. We've got actuaries in Europe and the US, and some in South America that will kick off shortly. So what this really comes down to is the ethics of networking online. It's a thing. What I really liked about the way that we interacted was, when we somehow you got hold of me, we connected. Seemed decent, nice photo, okay? But you didn't get hold of me immediately. So, we just connected. Now you're spamming me with content. Here's our profile. Here's our PDF documents. Here's our way. I just, you know what I do? I delete those people immediately. So there's a certain ethics of networking. Firstly, networking is a constant, non-stop grind. You're at the gym, you're eating lunch, eating breakfast, you're constantly networking, you're online, you're looking for quality people, you're searching, connecting with them. So you're networking, you're connecting on all different platforms. Okay? But then don't get hold of somebody for 6 months. And then when you do get hold of them, don't make it a whole speech. And firstly, email marketing, I'm not into that. I don't do that at all. I do write emails, of course, but I don't do any marketing on email. So, but it's very short. Hi, Adi. We'd like you to join our team in a conversation about how to scale up a startup. Would you be interested? Short, brief, boom. A quick read. Oh, yeah, that sounds cool. Sure, no problem. When are you keen? There we go. Boom. Done. It's done. What you didn't want is a whole story of, hey, Adi, this is our organization. This is what we stand for. This is what we're aiming to do. Here's a brochure. What we really want is this long story. So there's certain ethics in the way that you communicate with people. Ultimately, the people that you're connecting with online that are important are very, very busy. You have to always keep that in mind. You can't be sending off, especially if they respond 4 or 5 or 6 questions in a row. I mean, you're pretty lucky that they responded. So don't blow it by interacting with him non-stop, because then they're going to be, oh, buddy, like, hey, I was in an Uber, I was in a Lyft, I was just quickly responding. I mean, now's not the time for you to ask me about, can you tell me what, how you got your job? It's a long, loaded question. I'm going to respond because you just seem like a desperate networker. So there's certain ethics in networking and growing your brand that you have to always keep in mind, that people are willing to interact with you. Any photos that you've got online, any presentations that you're doing, dress smart, look the part. Ultimately, you don't want to look like you just woke up in the morning. You want to look like you're ready for business. You're ready for, we're talking about, people that get up on stage and present brand new technology, VR products. They've spent millions and millions of dollars in developing it. You almost want them to know that if they invite you to be part of the panel, you're going to show up looking smart and saying smart things. So that comes down to the content that you put online. Do you look like you can't, like, let's say somebody has an article. So comment in a nice way. Don't put people down. Don't say, oh yeah, I've seen that, but I mean, it's a waste of time. You don't. So anybody in your organization, you need to try your best to make sure that when they comment about stuff online, they do it with a certain sense of ethics. So ethics in networking online is very, very important. I don't know if we're going totally off topic, and then I'll talk about one last thing, and then I'd love to take your questions. Okay, I hope this has been useful.
Yeah, it's pretty useful to me.
So the last thing I want to talk about is the mindset of the disruptor. Because ultimately, what are you looking to do? Are you looking to start an organization that just shuffles paper around, puts people together, or are you looking to be an organization that changes the world? Because if you're looking to be an organization that changes the world, you have to think like a disruptor. So how does a disruptor think? The first thing is, a disruptor doesn't watch to see what the competition or what anybody else is doing so that they can copy them. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. This is what you want to do. You want to do something different. You want to do something interesting. The mindset of the disruptor says, this is what we're putting out. This is what we believe in. We would love for you to join our journey. So you have to be thinking of, if you're going to be entering the arena where you put together young up-and-coming technology people with established technology people, you want to disrupt that space. You want to be the ultimate connector of up-and-coming technology people with established people. You totally want to blow it out of the water. And so you have to think like a disruptor. It's not about, oh, we just want to be just another. You want to have the biggest events. You want to be the number one place on the internet for people to come when it comes to connecting technology people with established businesses that hire technology people. The number one place. So what does that mean? All this other stuff that I spoke about, YouTube, Instagram, events, lifestyle, branding. You want a branding partner, an e-commerce website that can make caps for you and whatever, that can run it as a side business. You can have contracts with them. Proper paraphernalia, caps, jackets, jerseys, a lifestyle. We are TechOpps. It's a movement. It's what it means to be a disruptor. Not, oh, we're not ready for branding, or it's like we're going for this. Is going to be the number one organization in the world that does this. That's the mindset of a disruptor. Not, well, I'm kind of doing it on the side until I get a job. So, as I say, do you want to change the world, or do you just want to be in the organization? You either want to be a disruptor, or you don't. If you don't, it's okay. It's another story. Then you're just a participant. Okay, so that's my story.
Well, that was a great 40-minute long conversation. So I have just a couple questions. So in terms of our organization, TechOpps, since we're based in three different countries, in your opinion, do you think we should be focusing on one particular country, or should we be focusing on all three, or just global?
Global. The global mindset. Ultimately, these days, it's a global world. You're not segregated into one country. You've got fragmented teams that work together all over the world. And so I wouldn't specifically focus on one country. Well, I would try to focus a little bit more on certain types of companies. You don't want to be dealing with sort of companies that don't know anything about technology that are looking for a data scientist.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to focus in the types of businesses that you interact with, but country makes no difference.
Okay. And so since we're mainly based in three countries, how should we deal with our paperwork? Because you mentioned having a bank account, having legal documents, but should we have legal documents and bank accounts in all three countries that we're operating in, or just one main one?
So I think that the most important thing is your biggest market. Mm-hmm. So if your biggest client base is going to be the US, then that's the one that you should have as a legal entity. That would be the one. That would be the one. Is I would like operate as a US LLC, with a US bank account. That's your organization's headquarters. That's where the memorandum of incorporation and the shareholders agreement and the actual contract, everything is US based. That's the way that I would do it. Because it's too complicated otherwise. It's too much going.
And when you mentioned growing our company, you mentioned quite a lot about networking. So if you were in the position of our company, then what kind of people would you be mainly networking with?
Well, from what I've already seen, you're doing a pretty good job. You're doing a pretty good. So there's two things. It's a tricky one because, ultimately you've got chief data scientists at like Cisco and Uber and Facebook and LinkedIn and all the stuff that you're already interacting with. Those are great people to have involved in your organization. But ultimately, unfortunately, if you're going to be now trying to find internships and positions that are open in these organizations, then you need to be in touch with the head of human resources. Because, it's the human resources, you could have the chief data scientist say, well, are there any positions open in your organization? I don't know. I don't have the vacancies. I don't know what positions are open. I can try and introduce you to somebody, but I don't know what positions are open. Only the human resources department, the people department, is the one that actually has positions that are open for applicants. So you need to also be connecting with them, because ultimately you want to know that if there's a position that's open, they are willing to send it to you. But you don't just want to be passing around names. It has to be organized. Okay, but fair enough. But if we bring you these people, so you're a recruitment organization. Somewhere along the line, the business needs to make a little bit of money so that it can do all these other things that it wants to do, even if it is an NGO, non-government, no, even if it's a non-for-profit organization. Fair enough. But somewhere along the line, you need to make some money to do something. So someone has to pay you. So you have to have a contract in terms of business with those companies already that says we're a supplier of people, and if there's a vacancy and we fill that vacancy, we bring you somebody and you hire them, we'll invoice you on the day that they start, and you'll pay us upfront 18 or 20% or whatever it is of their yearly salary. And there's a 3-month guarantee period. If they leave, we'll give you your money back. So you have to have those contracts in place with the HR department. You have to be onboarded with those companies as a service provider. And it's the HR department that's going to do that. Yes, it's fun in the data science, the head of data and the head of analytics and so on. Those are your friends in those organizations. They come onto your show and they do webinars with you, but they're not the people that are going to hire. If they want to hire, it all has to go through the human resources department, organization. It's got to be channels, there's got to be contracts. If they hire your people, not just, oh, hey, pass me the names, or tell them to go onto our website and they can apply there. But then you're just passing names around. That's not proper organization. So it's the HR people.
And so from your experience, what are the main reasons a startup fails?
The main reason a startup fails is because they run out of money. That's it. A startup will succeed if it doesn't run out of money, or the people that are involved in the startup don't have any money to pay their rent, then they can't work in the startup. They run out of money. So there has to be enough money in the organization that those that are involved can survive. So that's why if one operates as an organized collaborative consortium, as I say, it's a long conversation to have, but ultimately those that are involved make money when the business makes money. So let's say you guys decide to have a conference, an online conference, and someone's got to make the money. So if those that are able, you've got the documents, you're able to reach out to your friends at Uber, at Google, at Microsoft, and so on, and say, here's our sponsorship document, here's our terms of business, we're having an event. If you come on board, this is who we're targeting, this is what it's about, and this is what it costs. Now, if somebody gets that document signed, then they should be making a share of that fee when the client pays. So that's what a collaborative does. It means that when money comes in, those that are involved make money. Because in that way, it incentivizes people to try and bring money into the organization. What you don't want is a culture of people on salaries, because then you're going to run out of money. You want people to know that they need to be able to contribute to bringing money into the business or the content creation. Okay, well, we're having this event, so, you're not into sales and marketing. You're going to do the content. Everyone wants to do the fun stuff, but the sales stuff is the difficult part. So the reason startups fail is because they run out of money, or they think to themselves, okay, we have to get an investor in now, because all the expenses and the salaries that we've got, we only have a 6-month or a 12-month runway. Go get us an investor. So then how much do you need? We need $250,000 that will last us a year. Okay, I'll take 25%. Well, there we go there. You've now given up 25% of the business for $250,000, just so that you can have 12 months of paying salaries and expenses. What happens after 12 months if you don't bring any money into the business? You've run out of money, the business fails. So it's really about not running out of money and being a lean business. So that's the reason why most startups fail. They can't survive.
And you just mentioned having a collaborative for certain events, but in my opinion, that kind of seems like a short-term solution. So looking at the long-term solution, I think finding an investor would be the best one. But how would one start with the process of finding an investor?
The collaborative is the long-term solution. The investor is the short-term solution. The one that is more difficult to do initially is the long-term solution.
Mhm.
It's a lot simpler to spend your time finding an investor for your organization who will put money in. Once they put that money in, now we can relax. No, that's the short term. The long term is, okay, guys, we want to have this event. Let's put together some documentation so that we can all now tap into our network and try and find sponsors. Anybody that finds a sponsor will get 25% of whatever the sponsor pays. The 75% goes into the organization. Oh, very nice. So I can make 25% of whatever the sponsor pays goes in my pocket, but 75% goes into the organization to run the event and so on. Great. Well, that incentivizes me to go and try and get 3 or 4 sponsors. So I'm incentivized to bring money into the organization. That's a collaborative. That's the long-term approach.
But for sponsors, why would they want to be a sponsor in this event?
They would want to be a sponsor for many reasons. Number one, sometimes they have a corporate social responsibility. It all comes down to what part of their budget is the money coming out of? Is it coming from their marketing budget? Then you have to be dealing with their marketing department and trying to get the money from their marketing budget. Is it coming from their corporate social responsibility budget? Because that's a different department that has a budget. That's all about uplifting up and coming people. So therefore, so what is your angle? So it really comes down to your event. What is the angle? Is the angle that you're having an event and you want to get these sponsors to come on board to say, we support this because this is a great cause? In most cases, it's their marketing department that will pay. So what they get out of it is, if you really do brilliantly, then, here's an organization that does 2 things. Number one, they are champions of the up and coming technology people. They like that. They like that because they're uplifting technology people. But more importantly, if you really become a hub, a place to find quality young up and coming developers and technology people, then they would get first pick in hiring those people. For them, that's worth a lot. A lot of them go straight to the universities. That's the problem. The problem is they're picking the top candidates, they're picking the top technology people. It's such a sophisticated system, years and years in the making, where they're engaged with the professors and they already know before people get to honors and masters already who's like top of the class. And there's a whole system of introducing the top of the class to the best businesses in the world. Unfortunately, you have to go past that. You're not going to tap into that because that's already such a sophisticated system. What you're looking at is the young up and coming that studied online, is an absolute genius, wasn't privy to that system, and you've now found them, and you're able to introduce them to these businesses. So you could be a place for them to find these young, fresh up and comings that didn't go through the normal university channels, that are geniuses. So if you can find that for them, that's worth them being involved with you in your organization, just for the off chance that they find an absolute diamond. There's a lot going on here. We can't go too far down that rabbit hole. There's a lot of reasons why they want to be involved. But the most important thing is to have the channels and the content and be an entity that creates content. Because if you can all of a sudden 2-3 years down the line have had all these online events, 5, 6, 7,000 people that come, like you literally become like an unbelievable organization that people come to your events. Then you approach the sponsor. Would you like to be part of our organization? Well, I can see what you guys are doing. Amazing. Wow, you don't have a sponsor? Of course we'll sponsor you. We love your content. So what you don't want to, you want to do the hard route. First, create the organization, the culture, what you stand for, what you're promoting, and then you want to be going to speaking with the sponsors. If you're going to go to a sponsor first, so this is what we're looking at doing, just putting people together. What are you really bringing to the table? But hopes and dreams. I don't mean to discourage you. I'm encouraging you. I'm encouraging you to first create the culture, the organization, and the content. And then the rest will come a lot easier.
All right. Well, that's all the questions I have and all the questions from the panel. And I don't know what time it is there, but I'm guessing it's sometime in the morning. So I really want to thank you for helping us out here. Yeah.
Absolute pleasure. You know, Ethan, it's been nice chatting to you. I've enjoyed it, and you know, I think if you look at it as a 5, 6, 7 year goal, and you do it, you just do it, then you'll have created something. But if you like overwhelmed by doing anything like new age and fresh and exciting, you'll never get anywhere. So just get out there, do something different. I think we've covered quite a lot here today. Okay.
I'll make sure to keep you updated on our progress.
Okay. And if you have a if you have a conference, an event, you're most welcome to invite me. I'll be involved, and you know, if I can talk on a subject or whatever, with pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, Ethan. Take care.
Bye.